Hey folks, it's Nick Granville. So I thought today what we could look at is the FM9, probably my most used bit of kit. Now I have it. It's really a powerful tool. And I thought I'd show how I set it up and how I use it. So this is my Live Tones 2024. If anyone wants the preset, just flick me a message on Nick Granville Music. You're on Facebook and I'll send it to you. Easy as. So it's a vibro-verb amp, 112 cab. It's basically a clean Fender is how I've set it up, and I've set up the switches here in a certain way, and I'll explain my decisions about this and why I did what I did. So I have 4 main presets across the front, and then I can go hit that button and then I get the next 4. So there's my 8 scenes that I need. All right, and that takes me back to the next 4. Here you can go between scenes or effects. So if I want to say I want the I don't know, BB which is the amp plus BB preamp in front of it, and maybe I want to turn the delay off, I can just hit the delay there with the effects. So that's kind of where I have that here. This button here for me is always on every preset set up as a volume boost, 4 dB. I found 4 dB to be about right. Sometimes if I switch this guitar to single coil mode, there's a drop in volume. You know, it's only using 1 coil, so I can hit that and now it's back at roughly unity. If I ever need a boost for solos, maybe I want to kick a solo up, button's right there. It's always there and always ready. My tuner's always here and always ready too, because I use that a lot when I'm changing instruments or when I want to mute or anything like that. So this preset pretty much I could use any gig. If I want to do a funk thing, maybe I'll go to this, both pickups, maybe I'll coil tap the neck and I'll hit the boost to kind of make up the volume. Maybe I bring the reverb back, which I could do in there pretty easily, but that's one sound I get. Maybe I need a jazz tone, so same deal, neck pickup. Maybe I need a country sound, bridge pickup, coil tap. So that's the kind of clean sound. Then I have the same thing with the boost, and I've got a clone model in front of it. So it just kicks a little bit of drive and a little bit of extra volume. Next one I have is switches over to a Marshall JTM45 sound, and I've set this up kind of bright, and the reason for it is that I'm always on bridge pickup when I do this, and I tend to wind the volume control back quite a bit. And what happens when you wind the volume control back is you get a darker tone, so I have it brighter in here. So as you can hear, that's a pretty raunchy kind of rock sound, crunchy rock sound. And then my 4th one here is my lead tone. As you can hear, it has a little bit of echo. That's a BB preamp in front of that vibro-verb, as I mentioned. So those are my 4 main sounds that I'll use the most. And out of those, I can cover a lot of ground. Sometimes I just even leave it on the Marshall one and just turn my volume down here. I want it clean, I could turn it down. I want it crunch, I'll turn it up a little bit more. And I've done whole gigs with just that. But then on the next one, I have plus a chorus and some multi-tap delay. So use that for volume swells, really. So it's kind of a textural thing more than anything. My next one, I have an auto wah because I don't want to bring an extra wah or an extra pedal. Right, does a wah-wah thing. Tremolo. Which is a sound I use a lot. I like tremolo. And my last one here is rotary. And with that one I actually have the switch program, so if I hold it down it goes to channel B of the rotary, which is slower. And that ramps it back up. And those are the scenes I use most of the time. Sometimes I'll just put effects on my regular clean sound here. I just hit the effect and maybe I'll go across to pitch. Which, if you have a look back through my past videos, you'll see that I'm a big fan of the OC2 pedal. This sounds good enough for that. It's not quite the same, but it's good enough, and it means that I don't have to bring an OC2. It's all in here in the one. I carry this on the plane. I put it in a backpack. I have a Novation backpack, and I'll show you a picture of that. And I just basically shove it in my back and I carry it on the plane. Unfortunately, in New Zealand, you can't carry guitars on the plane, but I can get away with this. I have a gig coming up in a couple of weeks with the Ladykillers, great band from New Zealand, 3 wonderful singers, and that's what I'm gonna do. Take this. They were like, "Are you sure you don't want an amp?" And I'm like, "No, I'll take that," and I'll just use my in-ears and the guitar, and it's just easier. I know what I'm getting, right? Instead of like, I used to turn up to gigs and there'd be like whatever amp you could find. It was often rubbish, didn't work. Occasionally you'd get something really good, but most of the time it wasn't good. So now I can take my own amp. Now I've done something unique here that I don't see a lot of people do, but this is the way I do it. For me, is my monitor, so I send that out to an FRFR. I have my own volume control on that. Now most people do output 1 to the front of house. For me, I want that one because it's got the most, it's got 2 XLRs on here and 2 jack plugs. So it gives me the flexibility. I give the front of house guys, I just give them 2 XLR outs with their own volume. If they don't have XLRs, well, they shouldn't really be doing sound, right? You know, every sound company in the world has XLR input for guitar. You know what I mean? So I figure that it's better for me to have the flexibility. They don't need it. They can have XLR. And then output 3, what I've done is I've actually bypassed the speaker simulation, and I go out of that and I go plug into the power amp return on an amp, and all my presets are set up like that, so that output 3 goes out to, say I have a Fender Hot Rod DeVille that's provided as the backline for me. Then I'll come out of output 3 with a Humbuster cable and I plug into the power amp in, and boom, I've got a control over that there. And most of the time I just leave that up on full when I ride the volume pedal. I use this little Fractal EV2. I know there's an EV1. I couldn't get one at the time, so I bought the EV2, and I'm really glad I did. It's smaller and it's lighter, and that's all I need. I mean, if I can't turn the volume up and down with that, I would consider getting a second one for wah and maybe having delays, being able to do that kind of stuff, but I want to keep light and portable. You know what I mean? That's kind of my setup. So that's my main preset that I use for pretty much everything. Although lately I've been experimenting with a new one. I'll show you how I get to presets. So I go to effects and then presets, and there's my bank up and down. So say these are the different things I have. But if I go up a bank and I go to Dweezil bass, this is the Dweezil Zapper Bassman, which you'll find is a Fractal model. And what I do is I go put my volume on 8, bridge pickup. It's the Bassman, basically the edge of breakup, and then I put a BB preamp in front of it. If you watched the Josie video that I did the other day, that's that sound. I have a clean patch on that. If I go to scenes, there's a clean patch, again, worked out for 8. I have that, I've actually set the amp with the treble almost full up and the presence almost full, because I know I'm going to be riding the volume when I do that sound. So yeah, 8 seems to be the sweet spot for it. I like the BB preamp in this. I use that a lot. It's the closest thing I found to kind of the Dude pedal, which is one of my favorites for that kind of Dumble-esque tone, if you will. The closest model in here. And then of course I have another scene here which has the same thing but without delay. So those are the sounds I use mostly out of this thing. This is pretty much what I use all the time. I have my Bassman here, I have my other amps, but I find that the convenience and consistency of this is what I like about it and why I use this. Every YouTube video you've heard has been this since, I've been doing these Guitar Daily things. They're all this. I haven't used the amp for any of them, because it means I'd have to get out a microphone and then I'd have to find a level, and then I'd be able to have the amp at the sweet spot, which means cranking it up a bit. When you get to the sweet spot, it's probably too loud for my voice here. So it's, this is much more convenient. As I said, I can fly with this. I take it to gigs. I've got a jazz fusion-esque gig this weekend with Duncan Haynes and Levin, and we're doing stuff from Pat Metheny to Gillard Hexelman to John Schofield, and so I can do all of those sounds with that live preset that I just showed you a minute ago. And it was great. So we rehearsed today. There was a Hot Rod DeVille at the rehearsal room. Came out of output 3 into the Hot Rod. Boom, done. At the gig in the weekend, there'll be a sound guy there. I'll give him an XLR feed. I'm going to take the the Fender FR12 and give that a go. First time I'll be using it on a gig to see if it works. Haven't decided fully if I'm going to go for the 10 or the 12 yet for me. I reckon the 10 still, for most people, is the way to go. Something like this, maybe an FM3 if you want more portability, and then that little 10, for most people, will be plenty. The only reason I'm considering the 12 is because for me, I already own the Headrush FR108, the 8-inch speaker. So having an 8-inch speaker, I figured, well, that could be my rehearsal one, and then use the 12 for the gigs. Or maybe the combination of the two. I haven't decided yet, but yeah, if I didn't own that 108 already, then I would have just gone for the 10 straight off and been done with it. So I'm trying it anyway. I'll report back on that. Anyway, that's how I've set this up. This is how I use my Fractal FM9. Great units. The FM3 is really good too. The Axe-Effects are really good. I mean, I know a lot of people really like those. I don't like the form factor. For me, a rack and a controller is two things to bring, and I just don't need it. I can do it all in this. This is plenty powerful enough for anything I'd ever need to use it. I don't use the 2 amps. It's one reason I bought this. I thought I'd run the 2 amp models. Haven't done it yet. Haven't needed it. I could probably get away with an FM3. I reckon. I might actually even pick one up as well. Have an FM9 and an FM3 for when I travel. The cool thing with FM3 as well too is you could put a couple of pedals in front of it, and it's still small and portable. There's some cool overdrive pedals that just would be handy to have in front of it. Then you wouldn't have to use the drive blocks in it. It'd give you even more power in the thing. Something to consider. Anyway, I hope you like this. My name's Nick Granville, as I mentioned. Professional guitar player from Wellington, New Zealand. And I make my living playing this thing. So I do orchestra gigs, I do theatre shows, take this to the theatre shows. I do rock gigs, funk gigs, blues gigs, the whole lot. And so I want the same rig for the whole lot. Anyway, I hope it's been useful. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching. And remember to subscribe. Cheers.